Hello everyone, welcome to the second video in Python for Beginners series. This video is going to be all about variables and data types. Once you've set up Python in your computer, you are now ready to learn about data types. I know I said I'll teach about data structures in a previous video, but that was a mistake. Instead, I'll be teaching you about variables and data types. While programming, we work with lots and lots of data, okay? And this data can have different types. In this video, I'll cover some basic data types. The first basic data type is integer. You might know what it is. Integer is basically just any whole number or any negative number. Okay, like 2, 5, 0 is also an integer. Minus 76. 85, etc., so on and so forth. Okay, now you should make a note that decimal numbers do not come under the integer data type. They come under another data type called the floating point. Okay, now floating point data type consists of numbers with decimals like 2.1.2, 3.4, or even negative numbers with decimal 3.97, so on. Now these two data types deal with numbers. The next data type that we have is string. String. Now the string data type is basically used to represent text. It's just written between two quotation marks. It's say hello world, like I did in my previous video. Right? It's not necessary that you use double quotes here like I've used. You can also use single quotes, okay, and print your text inside. Python is going to recognize it all the same. It does not make any difference whatsoever. Okay. That's string. And the next basic data type is Boolean. Okay. Boolean. True and false. These values come under the Boolean data type. True, false. These values come under the Boolean data type. Notice that I have capitalized the first letter of true and false. That's because that's how Python likes it, and that's how you're supposed to be writing it if you want Python to understand what you want to do. Let's go ahead and implement these inside our program in Python. You will be remembering this program from my previous video, which prints out hello world onto the screen. All I've done here is I've bumped up the font size so you can see it clearly on your screens. Okay. Now this print function can print data, right? And it can print data of any data type. In this case, it's printing data of the string data type, hello world, which inside quotation marks. Now it can also print Boolean data like true. If I run that, it can print true. It can also print integers like 10. It's going to print 10. It can also print floating point like 10.75, for example. See, you can see it print 10.75. Now, the print function can also print variables. What are variables? Well, you can think of variables as boxes, okay? Boxes in your computers, which have a label to them so that you can easily distinguish between it and other boxes. The way you use variables in Python is like this. The first thing you'll need to do is to think of a name for your variable or the label for your box, however you want to think about it. I don't have any particular name in mind, so I'm just going to use X as the name of my variable. The next thing we'll need to do is to put some data into this box or put some data into this variable. The way we do that is really simple in Python. We just say X is equal to some data. It can be of any data type. For example, integer. I can say X is equal to 10. Or I can say floating point. X is equal to 10.86. or I can say string x is equal to hello world. Okay, or I can also say a data of a boolean type like true, x is equal to true, or x is equal to false. Okay, so variables are basically they can store data of any data type. Okay, now just putting some data into a box is not of much use if you don't use that data after some point, right? So I'm going to be teaching you how to use this data right now. Now we can just create a variable called name. Okay, create a variable called name. The name of the variable is name. Fine, let's have it equal to Sriprad, since that's my name. Name is equal to Sriprad. You can see that Sriprad here is string, since I want it to be represented as text. Name is equal to Sriprad. Done. We have declared the variable now. Now we need to somehow use this variable. There are so many applications of variables. Now I'll be printing name onto the screen. I'm going to say print name. Notice I've not used quotes around name here. I've not put quotation marks here. That's because we're printing a variable. If we use quotation marks, it's gonna literally print out what's between them. It's gonna print out name. So we can go ahead and look at that. It prints name is equal to Sriprad, print name. Okay, so it printed name. It printed the value of name, printed Sriprad. Now if I add quotes here, it's going to print what's between the quotes. It's literally going to print out name. So if I run this, you can see it prints name. We don't want that. We want it to print my name. So let's just say print name. Actually, let's make it do something more interesting. Let's make it greet me. Okay. Let's make it print a string saying hello. And now notice I use a comma here. All the comma says is that print this after printing hello. Print this right next to hello. Okay, I'm going to say print name right next to hello. Okay, let's see how that works. I'm going to run the program and it prints hello Sriprad. Works beautifully. Now this is also not much of any use, because the computer need not, I'm not the only one who's using this computer. Okay, it needs to be able to greet multiple people. But how does it know who's using the computer right now? For this, we'll need some way to input our name into the computer. Okay. For that, we use a function called input. Just like print is a function, input is another function. I'm going to say input. And the way we use input is like this. We say input and we type a string here. Say type your name here. Okay. What it's going to do is, first, it's gonna print type your name here onto the screen. Okay, and then I'm gonna run this. It's gonna print type your name here. Okay, I'm gonna place my cursor here. I'm gonna type my name, and when I hit enter, the name that I've just typed gets stored into the name variable. Okay, and then the print function says hello or whatever the data is stored inside the name variable. Now this is very useful if you have so many users of the same computer. Okay, let's say let's run this again. Let's say my name okay, you can notice here that the cursor appears right after printing type your name here. It's not very easy to read, so I'm just gonna add a space here. It makes it easier to read our program. See that the space appeared here. I'm gonna type my some other name, say Dinesh. Okay, just a random name, and it's gonna say hello Dinesh. That's the advantage of using variables. You can dynamically change the values by not going into the program. Okay? Now that was a simple example to teach you about variables and data types. I hope you learned something in this video. If you have any questions or any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section and I will get back to you. I'll see you in the next video where I'll be teaching about all the different types of operations that you can do with data in Python. Until then, remember, anybody can code.